welcome to Talk to Me. You are on GAN TV. Today is an important guest that I have here, a dear friend of mine from the Congo. Yeah, I usually call you call you Dr. Adrien.
Thank you.
You have to forgive me. I know we are live and the entire planet is watching us right now. You're here today to talk a little bit about the trauma, identity, and coping survival mechanism among Francophone African immigrants. And
Uh-huh.
you're going to tell us a little bit about the Congo Academy. That's the one of the most important, subject matter today. So tell us a little bit what's going on. The Congo Academy. What are we dealing with?
Thank you very much, my brother.
And you know what? You know what? Before you start, no disrespect. Can you just tell people who you are? And I didn't want to go to the last damn conversation I'm African. If I make a mistake, nobody gonna forgive me for
Oh,
that.
I
So please
know. I
introduce
know.
yourself and then tell us a little bit about the Congo Academy and what are you gonna be doing coming up on November 19th.
Thank you very much, brother. I'm so happy that you can have me in your studio. My name is Adrien Ngudiakama. Adrien Ngudiakama. My students call me Dr. A. Your friends call me
Okay,
Dr. A.
that's
And
better.
just I don't blame them because my African name is too long. And don't blame them. I go just uh, just says Dr. A, Reverend A, whatever, just is convenient for you. That's fine. I'm from the Congo, just
Which one?
the DRC, Democratic Republic
Okay,
of Congo.
good.
That's where I was born some years ago and left my country many years ago and just went to Europe and here. Just that's what I can say for the moment. I'm Adrien Ngudiakama. I'm a theologian. I'm an anthropologist, and I'm a public health scholar. Did all my education in England, but prior to England, I would say that I spent some years in France, Paris, and Montpellier, where I did just my studies in theology. But again, I spent some months in how do you call that wonderful, beautiful place again, Saint Etienne, where I worked as a pastor with l'Église réformée de France for some months, and but it is really in London where I did all my academic venture. First at King's College, London University, where I did theology for 7 years, studying systematic theology. And then, just still within the University of London, I went to the Institute for Education, where I did my PhD in health education, health promotion. I think that's what I can say. Again, maybe it is very important to say that after spending 12 years in London, I moved to this other side of the pond, as British would say, just where I've been for about 20 years now. Thank you. That's enough, my brother.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a lengthy introduction, but people want to know when you put together something like an academy. People want to understand and know what's your background, so that they can pay
Mhm,
attention to what you're
mhm,
talking about.
mhm,
So thank you
mhm,
so much for taking the time to explain to tell us a little bit about your background. So
mhm,
this Congo Academy,
mhm.
and let me remind you, because we're not gonna put this poster here and people are gonna see Congo with a K. I'm used to Congo with a C, right? So when people
Yes.
are gonna see that Congo with a K, you gotta have to explain us a little bit why Congo with a K and what is this academy about?
Thank you very much. That's a very wonderful question, my friend. Congo K just relates to that kingdom, the kingdom of Congo, and from which, in fact, after which the name Congo we see come from. As you know, that as far back as 1482, there was a gentleman called Diego Cao, that Portuguese navigator, who just traveled to that part of the world. And we're talking about 1482 before the Berlin Conference. And when he got to that part of the world, which is now the Congo. When he got to that mouth of the ocean, he met these people, were the Congo people, and then just he engaged with them, and he wanted to know how did they call the country and how did they call the river, and just the river which they called Nzadi, from which the word Zaire came from, or Zaire is the corrupted form from Nzadi, which is Congo. That Congo, the word Congo refers to that group of people called the Congo people, that kingdom, which was the one of the paramount kingdom in Africa. As you know, that kingdom which just was as many of African kingdoms or empires that were divided as far back as 1885 with the Berlin Conference. But as far as the Congo is concerned, let me say this, that in the history of African studies, the Congo K is one of the major chapters. And the reason being that the Congo people, or people that ethnic group, the Congo people are among the people who have been taken to the new world, whether Brazil or North America, the Caribbeans. The Congo people are among the larger group of the people that have been taken to this new world. In America, for instance, where we are, in North America, where we are, just most of the African Americans just came from that kingdom of Congo. And Brazil, we cannot even say it. Just Brazil, just that's where you found among just the Brazilians, Black Brazilians, Afro-Brazilians, most of them came from that ancient just kingdom Congo. And just being an anthropologist for many years, I have taught African studies. There is just a need really to promote Congo studies. And the Congo Academy is a platform that I put together, which gathers together some of the brilliant scholars on Congo studies. As I said earlier, just nobody can do just African studies just without engaging the Congo people of K. Well, because in the history of African people, these people called the Congo is one of the major chapters in the sense that they are among the people, people who have really been taken to the new world.
That's absolutely that is very important. Now it's clear to me, because I was wondering, because this kid looked like the kid that we found in the king. So what does that have to do with the Congo as a country?
And
so
in fact, what I mean to say, my friend, that Congo Academy, this is just an organizational platform that has been in existence for the last 2 years. And we have monthly webinars, and we have some of the brilliant, globally respected scholars, historians, linguists, and anthropologists who just have been studying Congo cultures for the last many years. We've got people like John Thornton, one of the brilliant historians from Boston University, who just has written a wonderful book on a name that Ndona Kimpavita, just also known as Ndona Beatrice, who is known by many as the African version of Joanna of Arc.
Wow, that's powerful. That's very deep. Now, of course, that above this academy is kind of the framework where all of this bright spirit and the knowledgeable people will come and trying to and teach us and educate us on so many things. I would like for you to now dive into one of the reasons why we're here.
Yes.
I know this webinar is one of the most important webinar, especially for the community, the Afro community, or the African American, or even the African immigrants, if you will. Mm-hmm. Somebody who's associated with that African, you got to listen to this. So tell us a little bit about the trauma trauma, identity.
Mhm.
Why is this so important to you, Dr. Adrien, Dr. A? What is
Very
this so
important to
important
our
to you?
friend. I've been in the West for more than 30 years now, my brother. Just have spent more than half of my lifetime in the West. And when I got to Paris, as far back as 1988, I was always surprised to see people were there for more than 7 years and they never went back home. And I couldn't understand that. How come that been in Paris for 7 years and never gone back home? But long before I knew, that became my just my own experience. It took me about 20 years before I went back to my DRC.
Mm,
And my friend, whether when I did theology at King's College, London University, or when I did just my PhD in health education and promotion and in civil education, my studies, my academic practice, so my interests have always been in the socio or cultural dynamics of African immigrants. In fact, I want to tell you that my PhD thesis just was on concepts of health and the therapeutic options among Congolese refugees in London. And not only that I did that in the area of health promotion, but again, I want to know that I'm a pastor. I'm a pastor. I've been ordained by the London Baptist Association and the Baptist Union in Britain, just Great Britain, for many years now. And my work as a pastor, my work as an anthropologist has been around these people called African immigrants. And for more than 2 decades, I have come to understand just what is really, what are the socio, not only what is the sociology of these people, but what are the problems they go through, what are the challenges, and
so the pastor and doctor, let me ask you this, and this maybe
yes.
a little complex question. And I really appreciate your development because you always give the background before you say something so people can really understand where you come from. But
Mhm,
there is an essential, one of the most important questions when we're dealing with African immigrants.
mhm.
And we also have a population here that came before us called the African American. These are
Mhm.
the same people you talk about the, their presence in Brazil, some of them in the Caribbean. They're still African people. Depending on
Yes,
the time they come to America, we give them different name, but this is still African people. So
you
when
are
you
right.
say African immigrant, some of the work that you do, awesome work, very, very important work that you do when it comes to dealing with trauma and identity and all that kind of stuff. Do you is this include all our brother and sister in the diaspora? Because they are African too. And just like I said, depend on the periods you come in America, usually they give you a name. African immigrant, even though although we all, both of us are African American, but you are African immigrant, and then you have African American. That is a dynamics that we have to find a way how to deal with as well. So your
You are
work,
right.
I believe, will address all of us as a diaspora. Or I'm just wrong for saying that.
No, no, you are right, my brother. But let me say something first. In relation to this talk that I'll be giving on Saturday, which has to do with African immigrants, my main thesis is this that the different mechanisms of survivals that African immigrants develop in order to face the challenges of being immigrants or refugees have socio cultural, psychological consequences that last for long.
Mm,
Or let me rephrase it, that some of the mechanisms that African immigrants, French speaking African immigrants,
mm,
develop in order to face the challenges of being refugees, of immigrants, whether in Europe or in America, some of those mechanisms have terrible pathological consequences in their life.
mm.
And that's what really I want to develop. And that's something that first I deal with on daily basis, not only as a pastor, but again as an anthropologist. That issues related to identity and what I would call the ethics of being a refugee in order to meet the daily realities of being a refugee, to not be deported, to not be arrested, and so on. Many of those politics or ethics of being a refugee, or those mechanisms just create just traumatic conditions in many of French-speaking African immigrants. But in relation to your question, you are right, my friend. Just people of African ancestry, as Desmond Tutu would say, that no matter how long African Americans or African Brazilians have been separated from the motherland, but they are still Africans.
Right.
And that's very, very, very important. And again, when it comes to the issue of trauma, let me tell you, my friend, I've been in this country for about 20 years and here in America. And there was a time that I said myself that I was doing what I call the anthropology of African Americans. I have had a chance really to engage with many African Americans in the churches where I have preached and we had programs together. In fact, as far back as 4 years ago, I took more than 15 African Americans to Angola. And for many of them, it was their first time. And yes, just many of them still face those traumatic experiences or agonies of being just uprooted from from the motherland. Ontologically speaking, historically speaking, that trauma is still there, for many of them, and which means that the issue of trauma, whenever we deal with it, we have to always bear in mind that yes, the conditions of African Americans who have been separated from the motherland for many, many years, very, very, very important.
Absolutely. Listen, I can tell you, man, this is some good stuff. This is some good stuff coming up, and I will just tell people, whoever is watching this is just a preview of where you can get when it comes to dealing with trauma, identity, and coping, the survival mechanism among the francophone. And I like the fact that you have to precisely, although this benefits everybody, but in this particular group called the francophone African, would deal with not only first you have to deal with the language first. Language barrier. You have learned, because we have other Africans when they come, they have that's an advantage of already speaking English. But we have another layer. We have another layer to deal with. It's the language, the culture to deal with. So this is very important. But I know in the end, whatever you mentioned, trauma, identity, all of this, if you're not African descent, you're gonna have to know and understand, because this is gonna also make sure that will help us to have a better relationship. Because for the most part, we don't understand each other because the experience that we have is so different, especially living in this country. So maybe your last comment on this before we go.
Just what I would want to say, that you just mentioned a very wonderful point, which had to do about the relationship between people of African ancestry. There is a need for us really to promote relational dynamics between us as people of African ancestry. I wrote a book, what's the title of the book again? From Congo to the Americas via Europe, a cultural, whatever I called it. That's a book I wrote, just a very wonderful, beautiful book. And in the last chapter of the book, I'm speaking about that relational dynamic between people of African ancestry, just those of us who are coming as new immigrants to the US, and brothers and sisters who have been here for centuries, or for more than a century. And that's very, very important. We've got to promote dialogue. But again, what I want to say, my friend, to conclude, please visit our website, which is www.congoacademy.org. just to know much or to know about what we are doing. In fact, as I said earlier, that this webinar on Saturday is a very wonderful platform for us really to engage as people of African ancestry. And as you will see, many of people who come to our webinars, our monthly webinars, are people who come from different disciplines. Let us dialogue, let us promote dialogue, and those who are interested in immigrant issues will find this just webinar on Saturday very, very inspiring. That's where I end. And Brother Malik, you're doing a very wonderful work.
Listen, we're here for the community, brother.
You do wonderful work. You are educating us, and you are bringing us together. And as Professor John Samuel Mbiti, one of the brilliant African theologian philosophers who has passed away about 2 or 3 years ago, in his wonderful book African Religions Philosophy, he makes or he comes with this wonderful anthropological dictum, according to which he said that for us Africans, I am because you are. Since you are, therefore I am.
Yes.
I am because you are. Since you are, therefore I am.
Yeah.
Which means, brother, that we need each other. I need you.
Yeah.
You need.
Absolutely. You know, one of the motto when I was a classroom teacher in the school administrator back in DC,
Yes.
I have a teacher that used to make the kids repeat that every single morning, which is very, very powerful. Listen, man, what can I say? What I can call to our community at large, whether you are living in the Caribbean, here in America, and even those living in Canada. I think the experience is still the same. Please make sure that you find the time to be connected to this webinar. But I promise you, after the webinar, we will bring this man back to the program so that he can give us more insights, because people really, especially during this time of difficulties and a lot of things going on in our world. So again, it's been a pleasure to talk to you again. I know we go back and forth with so many things,
Very much.
Dr. Adrien
Thank you.
Ngudiakama.
You did very well, and see you very soon, my brother. Keep
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming in. We definitely will bring you back on the program to kind of elaborate on what you started working on.
Thank you very much. Okay.
All right. So you have been working. Oh, absolutely. Okay. So this is it. This is the end of it. And please be connected. Make sure that you come to that webinar. It's a Zoom webinar, but we will make sure we bring Dr. Ngudiakama back into these programs to give us more insight about the wonderful work that is being done for years. So as for me, my name is Malik Linzanzo, and this is again Talk to Me on GAN TV. I will speak to you next time.